Welcome, everybody.
It was so good. It was so good, Jim. I loved it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, good. Okay, I didn't know. Nick did not share with me his opinions on the movie beforehand, so that was the first inkling I got out of anything. Out of Nicholas. Holy shit. Welcome. We're gonna talk about we're gonna talk about Spider-Man.
Wait, what?
What?
I just went and saw Ghostbusters.
Oh, that was good too.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about Spider-Man: No Way Home.
I saw that as well.
Oh yeah. So this movie's nuts. If you didn't notice, yesterday we posted a video where we talked about what we thought was going to happen in the movie. Now we're going to kind of break down the movie, talk about everything, and see what happens and how we feel about the movie overall. Quick, we'll give our overall like reactions, then we'll kind of dig deep into it. I loved it. I really did. This to me is top 10 MCU easily. I think they had a tall order. We were skeptical about a lot of things that we talked about yesterday. And I thought this movie really delivered on everything. There were a couple things that I have issues with. But I kind of was able to look past them, and I'll get my negatives out of the way right away when we dig into spoilers. But overall, I think that from top to bottom, more or less, they did everything that I wanted to and more. So yeah, I loved it. Like I said, top 10 for me. I can't. I think right now, looking at my ranked list, I have it at number 6. Can't quite get it much higher than that. There's other stuff I love more, but I don't know, man. This had me rolling the whole time. Lots of emotions. Nick, your overall thoughts?
So, I feel a little bad because I feel like I am MJ in the sense that the whole disappointment thing.
Oh.
So, like, leading up to this, I've sort of been like, this is going to suck. Spider-Man 3's always suck. There's too many villains. So, like, I expected disappointment, and I will never be disappointed, but it was so good, man. And oh god, it was so good. Okay, cool. I feel like I'm a kid. I'm wondering if it's all for other reasons and the movie's not good and I just have my blinders on. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, we'll dig through it.
But yeah, good. I haven't felt this way since Endgame, and I'm like considering moving a movie that doesn't have Captain America in it into my top 5. I'm considering.
Yeah, right now I still have Infinity War, Guardians, Endgame, Winter Soldier, and Iron Man 1 above this. But it is the 8th MCU film I've given a 5-star rating to, and I put it up just above. I know you love Civil War, but I put it just above Civil War and Ragnarok, which are 2 of my favorites, and this is now one of my new favorites. So again, we're gonna get into all the spoilers and everything. Maggie makes fun of me every time I do this. I'm not trying to like be a douche or brag or be braggadocious or anything, but I have seen the movie twice, so I watched it twice today. And because the first time I watched it, I did have a lot of reactions, and I said to myself, I'm going to wait until I watch it again tonight with Maggie to decide if I actually love this movie as much as I think I do. And I do. Very much. There were a lot of things that I thought, will this work for me again? And they did. I'm seeing it again on Saturday with Maggie and Robert, so hopefully it'll keep up the thanks, Scully.
I almost skipped this to watch it again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Very close to being like, I think there's a midnight showing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll get my couple like negative things out of the way right away. And honestly, this is only something I picked up on the second time because Maggie actually pointed it out to me. But basically, the whole crux here is
Are we getting into spoilers now? Or?
Yeah, it's a spoiler review on it.
I didn't know if like we were gonna hit a point where we were like, there are spoilers now.
No, fuck it.
Spoilers. Okay, great. Toby and
Spoilers.
Andrew were there. Okay, go ahead.
It was great. Everybody who gets pulled in is because they know Peter Parker is Spider-Man, correct?
Correct.
So it makes zero sense that Tom Hardy's Venom is there. Makes no sense whatsoever.
So my negatives are also with the post-credit scene.
It makes no sense.
I guess we'll just talk about the post-credit scene.
It's the only part of the movie that actually made me go, okay, Sony, get your hands out of the kitchen, because it is the only thing in the movie that doesn't make sense in the rules that they've set up.
I thought so too, and I didn't even think of that. I was like, that's dumb. Why would a piece of Venom be left behind if everything gets sent back to the universe it's supposed to be in? Yeah. And now I'm realizing that's dumb that he was there in the first place.
Yeah, he does not know any version of Peter Parker. It makes no sense. It makes zero sense whatsoever.
Yeah, that actually makes me really mad now.
Yeah, it is Sony putting their hands in the kitchen. I don't know what they're going to do in the future. Kevin Feige can do whatever he wants with Venom, and I won't give a shit. But yeah, as long if it's like if he does like a black suited Spider-Man or something like that, like I'd be on board for it. But honestly, I struggle to think of many other negatives. I saw some people were talking about how the first half drags a little bit. I thought it flew by, man. I really did. I thought it flew by from beginning to end. I had no issues with the pacing whatsoever here.
Yeah, no, same. And like, if I had a few other things that I wanted but didn't happen, but I don't even know if I'm mad about them now. I don't know how I feel about Doc Ock being turned back into a good guy.
I loved it.
Though part of me is sort of like, but that does sort of make sense.
It makes total sense to me.
Yeah. And there were only 5.
Yeah. We did not get 6.
Which is kind of like a...
What was the point?
Yeah. And they never really all fought at the same time. That part, but not so much that there weren't 6, and not so much that Doc Ock was a good guy, but that they weren't all bad guys fighting at the same time.
Yeah, that's fair.
That I would have liked that, but I'm okay.
Yeah. So, why don't we just start at the beginning and go on through? I loved the way this movie opened up, with the literally the ending of Far From Home, like over the opening titles and stuff. Like I thought that was really cool. And just seeing the aftermath of that situation, I thought they pulled that off really well. We had talked yesterday about how we were a little worried that they were just going to kind of throw away that plot line. I thought that they did a good job of showing the aftermath of him being revealed and why he would go to make a decision like this. I thought they pulled that off really well.
Yeah, like even with Aunt May and accusing her of child endangerment, and I was like, oh, that's a big deal.
That's a point to make. Yeah,
the college thing, I wasn't fully on board with that because I was like, every college would be dying to have this. Do you know how much money that would bring them if they accepted Spider-Man? But whatever.
That's fair. I thought, I'm a big stan for Mr. Harrington. So I'm glad that we got one.
That's very funny.
I'm glad that we got a scene with him. I'm also skipping over my boy, Matt Murdock.
Yeah. What?
How do you feel about it?
I don't know how I feel. I know how I feel about it because, in the moment, I was like, "This is cool. I know him," and he showed up with the cane, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know, man. My mind was a little blown." And then he caught the brick. He's like, "I'm a good lawyer," and I was like, "You are." And I'm trying really hard not to think of all the issues that it actually causes if the Netflix stuff is now canon. And just taking it at face value of what it was, and I was like, that is Daredevil. Mm-hmm. Daredevil is Spider-Man's lawyer. That's kind of cool.
Matt Murdock catches a fucking brick going 80 miles an hour. This is true. Yeah, so the whole him going to the Sanctum stuff, they kind of threw it under the bus, but Doctor Strange is not the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right?
Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme. Love it.
Same. I literally, like, in my seat, I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, big fan of that. They changed up like what was in the trailer versus what we saw here, because in the trailer,
Yeah,
Wong
there was
like
a longer Wong scene in the trailer.
Wong like explicitly said like don't cast that spell or whatever. But in this, he was like, just leave me out of it. Like I don't want anything to do with this shit. And I thought that the Strange was in it less than I thought he was going to be, but I thought they used him pretty perfectly here.
Yeah.
I liked everything that he was a part of. What about you?
Absolutely. And I think, first of all, love that they gave Ned power. I thought they were going to make Ned the Hobgoblin at one point. Or have like a different version of Ned come in, be Hobgoblin, be the sixth person. But Doctor Strange. Yeah, cool. It was cool. And I thought that was a good way to like get him out of the film for a hot second. I believe their conflict. I get it. I get why they're fighting. He's a little. I guess that's kind of who Doctor Strange is, though. I was gonna say he's a little like quick to be like, okay, Peter, let's do this spell. But like, he's not the big Sorcerer Supreme yet. Like, or maybe he is. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. And then I thought it was funny when he was like, "You didn't even call, and we're doing this spell. Okay, bye-bye."
Yeah.
I think they used Doctor Strange perfectly. I think he was in it the perfect amount of time. I think he played the role he was supposed to play and then stepped back to let other people take the reins.
I thought that the mirror dimension fight was awesome. Like, really, really fucking cool how they did that.
Not only that, Scully, because I was thinking that, but and you've seen it twice, so I might have to. I'll check again when I watch it again. When they cut to Ned and MJ in Ned's like grandmother's house or aunt's house, whoever that is, they hold on like a board of knives for like a good 10 seconds, and then they cut to a sewing machine. And the colors that are on the sewing machine, like made that like of whatever's being sewed, maybe kind of be like, that looks like the Hobgoblin suit from the comic.
I didn't notice that. I noticed the knives thing.
And they hold it for like a very long time, and I was just like, oh, is something happening?
Yeah.
And then they brought up that moment where like Ned's talking to Toby, and Toby's like, my friend turned into a villain and died, and Ned's like looking at Peter like, that won't happen. In that moment, I thought we were going to get a Ned from another universe that's like jacked and is the Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that.
No. What'd you think about the full? We've seen a lot of it in the marketing, but what did you think about the reveal of Otto and the fight? The fight with Otto on the bridge. I thought it was awesome.
It was awesome, and the second he got there, I was like, "Oh, it's coming! It's happening." I liked that it wasn't a Doc Ock and a Green Goblin fight. I liked that it ended before that, and we just got the tease of Norman. First of all, are Jake and Michael like okay? Can we check on them because like Doc Ock officially knows Norman Osborn and like they've spoken before in the past. Like that's wild.
Yeah.
And of course, all the other shit that happened in the movie, I'm sure they're not okay about. But
I think Michael's review said that, of course, Willem Dafoe should win an Oscar for this performance. So.
No, but it's pretty damn good. The Doc Ock, the fight on the bridge scene, loved it. Loved why Peter was there. It really connected. His Peter feels so different from the other Peters in such a good way. And that the reason he would go to this bridge to talk to this lady to get his friends into MIT, not even him, just sort of shows who he is. And then when the fight happens, it's cool. I don't know how I feel about like him hijacking the arms.
Oh, I loved that. I thought that was really clever.
I thought I liked it, and then I thought about it a little bit, and I was like, this feels a little cheap. Mostly because I was excited for like a Doc Ock with Stark Tech, and it turned out the Stark Tech was just.
Was that something that was advertised that I didn't know about?
In the trailer, it showed like the arms turning red, and
Oh, I missed that. I must have missed
you can
that.
like assume. So yeah, it was just sort of like, okay, so now Peter can, and it was funny, like in the moment, though, a little like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how I feel. I feel like I wanted more from Doc Ock, considering that's really that bridge fight is really the only thing you see of him.
As a villain, as like being a
Not
big
even just as a villain, but in terms of like action. Like he shows up at the end to like catch people, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that's fair. Something else we had talked about was the possibility of the villains being like variants,
Which technically they are.
Variants in this multiverse, but in this universe. But I just meant like this is 100% clearly the characters from the movies we've grown to love, like hands down. And
yes.
I thought
yes, but they're also variants because Doc Ock, Norman Osborn, and Tobey Maguire all come from different parts of that timeline, which means they each come from different universes, which means there's at least 3 versions of those characters.
Yeah. But I just mean in the sense, yeah, like that it's very clearly like same motivations, same things that we've seen before.
Are you mad because you said you were going to be a little like bummed if they played the whole like pulled out of the scene at that moment? I remember you saying that. Like I pitched this. First of all, you're the Nostradamus because you called the whole Venom thing and like everything else. But a long time ago, I pitched like I think what's going to happen is you're going to have Doc Ock like right during the fusion fight in Spider-Man 2.
I would have been upset if we saw that.
Okay.
Not upset. I just like I didn't want to be like hopping through time and then like we see like the 2004 movie, like, because then I thought that would have been a little like.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
Yeah, but what was I gonna say? I thought the way that they were able, and this goes for a lot of things in the movie, especially the Andrew Garfield stuff. They were able to take things that I dislike so much and make it work. The last I wrote 2 reviews today for each viewing, and my second one was Sony. It was Sony : let's ruin Spider-Man twice in 2 different franchises by the end of 2 to 3 movies. Kevin Feige, hold my beer. Because literally, Kevin Feige is sitting there going, I can make people happy again with this. Like, I never thought I would get any form of resolution to The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and now I do.
Same.
I know what that character went through beyond that movie.
Yeah, he turned into like a murderer essentially.
I'm gonna
great. That's what he should have done. He was very sad. So to have him come back and be like, "Don't worry, kid, I'll fight this rhino, dude." That made no sense. And then to learn that he went on to be this guy who, full of rage, who turned to violence, who stopped pulling. That was a great line. I stopped pulling my punches.
Mm-hmm.
He killed some people.
Yeah.
Freaking dope.
Yeah. And even the Toby stuff, like they really like. Yeah, Cody's messaging me. I'm telling him to come here.
Has he seen it?
Yeah, he went and saw it. He was gonna see it tomorrow, and then I was like, "You need to go see it." So he went to see it, and I said, "Come talk spoilers with us." So Cody might be showing up. But no, the way that they just made like Electro, Sandman, even, which I thought when he showed up, I thought that was so smart the way they did that
So,
with him showing up and helping Peter initially.
because that was the big question. Once we all sort of figured out they were getting pulled out of like the last scene we saw them in, everyone was like, "But Sandman likes Peter now."
Yeah.
What? That doesn't make any sense. But to have it where he's clearly still a mistrusting person, and now he doesn't know this version of Peter, and immediately it doesn't take much for him to be like, "Okay, I don't trust you now. I'm in this for myself to get back to my daughter." And it's like,
Yep, that makes sense. I want to see the continuation.
I thought about that. Maybe. Yeah, no. No, we can't because then actually, if they do that, it could fix the Venom problem.
If Venom is in the world of the Garfield movies,
If we find out that Venom takes place in the Amazing Spider-Man universe,
that would technically be work.
there's be a lot of like clunky stuff in there, like for example, Venom licking the television with Peter there. And it's like, okay, but you know that guy. So.
This is true. I thought it was hilarious though, and Jamie Foxx actually when they stop the electricity and then he's just like, "We're gonna pretend that I'm not standing here butt ass naked." So we had talked about the other day as well about that box being something that would be containing the villains or whatever. Mm-hmm. I thought that the device of it, I didn't know how I was going to feel about it at first, because they basically set up that they just Strange can hit this button or whatever on it and it'll send everybody back. And the whole time I'm just thinking we're going to hit the button eventually. Why are we just why are we dilly-dallying? You got to give me a reason to not want to just immediately send them all back. And they found a really good reason.
A good fucking reason. Oh, God. And then, oh, man. I do have one more issue with the movie that I would have liked to see something, but I'll get to in a second, because I assume we're about to talk about Aunt May.
Yes, but go ahead.
Yeah, one, I would have liked one more scene between her and Happy, so that their relationship didn't end on a Happy being sort of creepily in love with he was not interested kind of thing.
I was thinking the same thing.
Because then that would make that final scene where Peter and Happy are at the grave mean a little bit more. Where it was man, even if it was just a little thing, where Happy left her a note in his fridge and she saw it and smiled right before the Green Goblin went crazy. That being said, fantastic. Glad they used the line.
They earned it.
They earned the line. And it made May the central point for why Peter did what he did the whole movie. Why he didn't just send them back.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though these are all Spider-Man villains that he's never seen before, he sees them as people who can be helped, and he wants to help them. And honestly, it's congruent with the other movies, because that's what Toby and Andrew were like. Toby didn't want Norman Osborn to die. Norman killed himself. Toby wanted to save Doc Ock, but it was too far gone. Andrew Garfield was friends with Kurt Connors. He didn't want Kurt Connors to become this thing. He tried to save Max. He felt for Max. So it's all congruent and it all fits. And it's I just watched the most satisfying puzzle piece complete a puzzle. It was great.
Yeah, Scully said it really well in his review on Letterboxd. This finally, I liked Homecoming. I really liked Far From Home. But this now finally feels like a wrap up of a real origin story for this character.
Yeah.
All of this trilogy mixing in the Civil War and the Infinity War and Endgame stuff. this just really feels like where the movie ends. He is.
We have started over, and he is Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I thought he was gonna walk into that apartment, and it was gonna be the same Tobey Maguire apartment.
I thought so too, which would have been a little on the nose, but
I would have loved it. I would have eaten it up anyway.
But anyway, I thought that the way they did Aunt May dying was really powerful.
Yeah.
I was very emotional, especially the first time. I just it hit me because the moment you see the glider coming, I was like, well, okay, she's biting it, and I'm prepared. But then she gets up and she does the
Yeah,
line,
and I'm
and
like,
I was
okay.
like,
Go ahead.
I was just like, yeah, okay, like she's getting through this. Okay, she's one powerful woman. I'm not gonna disrespect Marissa Tomei. And then when she was like, I gotta catch my breath, I was like, oh fucking hell.
I'm about to disrespect. I mean, maybe not disrespect, but like when she got yeeted, I was like, if she doesn't fucking die, that's kind of BS. She just got very stabbed and very like thrown 30 feet, and she's like a middle-aged woman. Yeah. So, and not a spider person. But yeah, when the great power responsibility line happened, and then Peter starts to walk away, and she like just touches his shoulder and doesn't walk with him. I was like, she's dead.
Yeah. And they just
couldn't believe. I was like, I can't believe they're doing this.
Yeah, they pulled it off really, really well, and I thought that Tom Holland acted the shit out of that scene. This whole movie, he's the best he's been.
Absolutely.
But that scene in particular, he was incredible, and I thought he really knocked it out of the park.
God.
And then
you know what's great?
What?
Not to cut you off. What I've loved this iteration of Spider-Man. I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. What I have always missed is the origin that made him Spider-Man. And everyone at the time when this new Spider-Man was being introduced, everyone was sort of sick of Spider-Man. Like Civil War came out in 2016, 2 years prior. We just had another failed Spider-Man franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was like, we don't need to see Uncle Ben die again. And I was like, but I do, because that's what makes this character this character.
Mm-hmm.
But to say like that happened 6 months ago and we're just gonna have to trust you like that happened. I always felt a little cheapened by that. And then they gave him a different way to do it with Aunt May. And it was perfect.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of my favorite scenes of the movie is when Garfield is like, I kind of know what you're going through. And he's like, don't even say you know what I'm going through. And we as the audience are sitting there like, you should better shut the fuck up, Peter. You know, he knows what you're going through. Respect your elders. And then they start going around and sharing those stories, like you mentioned earlier, of Garfield saying and then I stopped, holding my punches. It's like, holy shit. And it was such a good scene. Also, that shot of them up on the and it just like their silhouettes on top of the thing, I was like, fucking hell.
This movie could have been 3 hours of the three of them just talking to each other.
100%. One of my favorite lines in the entire movie is when Tom Holland says, so what about like what's the craziest villains you've ever fought?
Yeah,
and him and Toby go back about the aliens, and then Andrew's like, man, I'm lame. I fought a Russian guy in a rhino suit.
That was perfect. And if we could just do like, you want to transfer into like a whole Andrew Garfield spiel?
Sure, yeah, because I thought he was fantastic.
Because I felt so proud of myself. That portal opens. Ned opens that portal. And eyes. Everyone else, yeah, it was the eyes. No one else had a clue. And I sat forward in my chair, and the guy next to me was like, what the fuck? I was like, that's motherfucking Andrew Garfield. Calling it now.
Yeah, the eyes gave it away for me. And probably most of us, the general audience, I think, realizes that it's not, Tom Holland, but knew it was someone, because I saw it in a sold out theater tonight, and the audience went nuts.
Yep.
They started clapping when they saw someone, but when he pulled that mask off, it was insane. The audience went absolutely crazy.
Mhm.
And he just, I know that he didn't have a great, I really hope we find out after the fact that he had a great time doing this movie
Mhm.
and that it makes him kind of maybe feel better. Because I know that he's talked a lot about how he did not have a great time doing those last movies.
Mhm.
He slipped right back into that role so well. He's so good. I really like Andrew Garfield as
And
Spider-Man.
like just the little shit of like them trying to figure out their code names.
Mhm.
And Tom Holland being
I'm
like, "Okay,
Peter 3.
Spider-Man 1, okay, Peter 3." It's like, oh, but no, we love you, buddy. But yeah, you are kind of like third out of these three.
Yeah. Scully's right though. The audience went even more crazy when Toby walked out.
I knew
Like,
it was. I mean, I feel like most people knew it was happening when they're like, "Okay, try again." Or they even, I even had a suspicion when they were like, "Just try until we get the right one." I was like, "Okay, so obviously we're getting Toby. We getting more than Toby?
yeah,
We
I
gonna
thought the same thing.
dabble into a couple others or what?"
Um, I thought Maggie was gonna piss her pants when Andrew looks at Toby and goes, "So are you going into this battle dressed as a cool youth pastor, or are you getting the suit?" Oh, that line just that line killed. But yeah, bringing them in, I think we all had the suspicions. None of us could say for sure until we saw the movie, and it just like it. I think it paid off. We were predicting the other day
Mm-hmm.
that they were either going to be quick cameo or like they were in a lot of this movie.
They were main players.
Like
Yeah,
I'm interested
this
to
was.
I'm interested to find out exactly how far, like minute wise, how far into the movie they came in, because they're pretty much there from the end of the second act all the way through the third act.
This was as much Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4, The Amazing Spider-Man 3, as it was Spider-Man No Way Home, which is
Yes.
awesome. And the fact that I pulled it off is just insane. But yeah, when they show up and when Andrew shows up and MJ's like, "Prove it," and he
Throws
like
the bread at him.
grabs onto the ceiling with his fingertips, and she's like, "Crawl around." He's like, "What? No."
He's like, I don't carry identification
Yeah.
on me. I'm sorry. They kind of made him a goofball, and I kind of loved that because he's always been kind of like goofy. I'm actually glad they couldn't get Dunst for shooting because I feel like it would have been too much.
I thought I saw a picture of Dunst and Emma Stone on set, but maybe that was just them being like friends walking around outside.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad they had nothing to do with this, if I'm being completely
I
honest.
thought because I had seen that picture, I thought we were gonna get a scene where each Spider-Man like goes back to their universe. And we see like we see Toby with like a grown up, not even like a long scene, but just to like see the two of them together. I guess that
Interesting.
wouldn't really work for Garfield. Also, we called that Garfield was going to be the one to catch.
100%, and that moment was so good. That moment was so good. We do have someone else who would like to say a few words about a movie that he saw tonight. Cody saw the Clifford, and he's gonna talk to us about the spoilers in Clifford.
This is by far the greatest movie that's ever been made by cinema. This is
Spider-Man or Clifford?
Both. Both are pretty much in the same camp. You can put The Godfather, Citizen Kane, Schindler's List, and they mean nothing anymore. Before I watched this movie, I went back to the Multiplex Those Movies episode when I realized that this was coming out this year, and I had no clue it was coming out. And the pure excitement on my face was the pure excitement I felt the entire time during this movie. I don't know what you guys have probably said a whole lot.
You go for it, buddy. We'll bounce off.
One, I cried at one point.
Yeah.
I did
Which
twice.
point? when Happy and May broke up.
That was pretty good. The moment that really just killed me, and it's such a stupid moment for most people, but when I saw Toby back on screen, I think that was the moment that like wrecked me, because we have people in this community. One's a dumbass, and we all know that. And I understand there's other people that don't believe the Raimi trilogy is as good as the Raimi trilogy is, and that's fine. I was 10 years old, 10, 11, when I first saw Spider-Man. And Spider-Man's been my favorite superhero every time. So you couldn't tell me that Toby did a bad job as Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man. That's fine. No problem. But when he shows up, no suit, no nothing, just as Toby, just as Peter Parker. And,
a youth pastor.
Yeah, he's a youth pastor. Gives an insane performance, I think, throughout this entire thing. Mm-hmm. Kind of shows that, like, he was still going through the ropes. He had nobody else. He had nobody else to go off of playing Peter Parker. He played him how best that he thought at the time, and you could see over the years, like, as an older Peter Parker, which he was at the time, even just how well he played off. But the scene that I am absolutely in love with from this movie, and I will probably watch over and over, there's in my review. I would take 2 hours of all 3 Spider-Men.
That's what Nick
on
just
the
said.
thing and just talking about the thing
about the web fluid and
how stupid they could have ruined this movie from Jump Street. This had so many. I watched so many parts of this movie, so like, this is where it could go off a cliff, or this is where it's going to be awful, or ooh, how are you going to handle this? And everything was completely avoided. The entire thing was completely avoided, which was so impressive to me, because not only did you bring back Garfield and Maguire in both of their roles back into the MCU, and include Holland and all the other characters that's important. You brought back the main villains of every movie, and they all fit perfectly into the movie. I always laugh about Spider-Man 3. The biggest problem with Spider-Man 3, and they always take away, and the same thing with Amazing Spider-Man 2, there's just too much going on. There is just too much things happening. They can't focus on one thing, and this movie fits them all into a perfect bow and wraps it up. I have no idea where this entire thing is going anymore. There's an in-credit scene that I'm absolutely the most excited about in the history of the universe, and it's not the last one. It was the middle one, knowing that I don't have to deal with that Venom in this world. Happiest thing I've ever seen in my life. Happiest. I hate Venom with a passion. I hate that movie. I hate that. I didn't want that to be in there. So with somebody else being the symbiote suit, beautiful. I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe it's the bartender. But yeah, I'm absolutely in love with this. And I
just hate that post-credit scene in every way.
Zendaya.
She was great.
Great. Strange. Totally took my stuff that I thought going into the movie. Thought that wasn't the Strange. Clearly is. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. You and I had talked about it.
Crazy. I think this movie and it's unfair to every other movie. I said it in my review. It's unfair to every movie possible, because it ranked so high. It went to number 1 of my 2021s. It went to the number 1 of my MCU. Guardians sat there for so long.
Wow.
I would see this. If the theater was open for the next, I would sat down and watched it again.
That's what Nick said. He almost canceled.
But my 10-year-old was asleep. Was about to fall asleep. So I would have. I don't know if there's any part of this movie I just don't like or don't like that I had a problem with. I know there's problems with it because people have said there's problems, and I read some of it and I'm just like, that's nitpicky at this point to me. Like, and I'm one of the biggest nitpickers in the world about movies. Like, I'll find
both of you are.
Yeah, me and Tuig are both.
The fact that you both love this as much as I do makes me so happy. One of the things that pissed me off so much that I read today was somebody on Letterboxd was like, well, the movie only works if you've seen the Raimi trilogy and the Garfield movies. Because if you haven't, then you don't get it. Great.
How about the Raimi
if you haven't seen Endgame doesn't work if you haven't seen Thor 2.
Yep.
Sorry. What do you want?
Honestly, I thought the standout villain was going to be Molina. I just thought that's who it was going to be because I think Molina is most top tier like villain, and still to this day ranks in like my top 10 comic book villains of all time. I think Molina is great. Dafoe,
So good.
every bit of that character just worked, and to see him back as Green Goblin.
And
When-
they even did the thing that everyone used to complain about, like, why give him a mask? His face looks like the. They did it.
When that moment, we haven't talked about this yet, but that moment where Peter realizes that he's up to something and like webs him, and he like turns around and is you thought that. I'm just like, oh my god, he's so fucking good. Although I could have done without I'm something of a scientist myself.
Oh no, I love that.
Oh,
I wanted him to jump on something so bad and be like, formula, like so bad, and just go to it.
The more references, the better. When like Peter's like stretching, he's like, back. I was like,
oh, the back thing. Well, the other one that I really liked was when he's like, have you ever gotten web block? And he goes, now that you mention it, I have, existential crisis. Like
the part where like Garfield's sitting there, I was like, oh man, you went to space and fought. I fought a guy in a rhino suit.
A Russian guy in a rhino suit.
Rhino suit. I was like,
no, man, you're amazing.
You're amazing.
You're amazing.
The way they like pretty much winked and realized how terrible the Amazing Spider-Man was put together, like how it worked and how it's like, oh well, that's fair. Like, okay,
it was so meta. It was literally like Toby, Tom, and Andrew acting like people think of them. Like everyone loves Toby because he's the OG and he did his thing, and like he's the most well respected. So to make him the oldest, like wisest Spider-Man was perfect, and to have Andrew be this like self-conscious Spider-Man who like everyone loves, but his movies were bad, and them like play on that.
When they're on the Statue of Liberty and they just have that talk and they're like, I have been on a team. I've been a part of the event. You don't have the Avengers, but when they jump off and they stick together and you see that scene of those three going, they land and do their actual land where they
the shot of them swinging in front of the moon like that, like right before they land, I was like, oh, so this will be my Facebook cover photo until the end of time. Can't wait for that. Because I was saying to Maggie, like Cody, and I'm sure Nick was the same way, I saw Spider-Man in theaters in 2002 with my dad and have seen all of these movies opening night, like, and it wasn't that long ago that I remember sitting in the theater for The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and was still excited and still pumped to go and see it. And now all of a sudden there's three of them in a movie. It's fucking nuts, dude.
The crazy thing is they were able to do this every time. And it's such a throwaway line because everybody, it's the Spider-Man line, but with great power comes great responsibility. And when May says it in this movie, I was just like, at first I was like, you did use it, but how much weight that carries throughout it. And they both, all three of them, and goes, I will never forget. I did this. And basically I lost Gwen. Mm-hmm. I lost Ben. And it's just like this thing, like, I wish like somebody like, man, you Parkers have really bad luck if somebody loves you to get close to you. But just how it just fills the whole movie. The Jamie Foxx, the thing is, the one thing that this movie does is it closes the book. We never got the book closed on any of these, really.
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man 3 was not an end thing that could have kept going. There's clear indications, there's clear openings all throughout that movie. Amazing Spider-Man 2 was clearly, it ends with the fighting of the Rhino, and like that was going to be like, where is it going to go? For it to come back and was able to close two books, that needed to be closed for a long time. And
Nick
love them and not make me go. Movies like this make me eye roll because they're like, oh, remember this, or you see this. I'm just completely on the entire time. Like
Nick put it really well when he said this was just as much Spider-Man 4, The Amazing Spider-Man 3 as it was No Way Home, because we were predicting yesterday when Nick and I did the pre-show, we said to ourselves, like, if they're in this movie, they're in it for 5 to 10 minutes.
maybe.
In this movie a lot more than 10 minutes. They are main players in this movie. Like it was so
I mean, they're
great.
honestly almost in this movie as much as Strange, or more.
Pretty
Like
close.
Strange comes in, does his moments, but Strange doesn't like. Strange is not that big catalyst, and I don't know how much because the MCU always gets blamed for no stakes. Really, like that's their main takeaway. Like the stakes that they have, they go away, they get shit back. I kind of like how this movie ended. I kind of don't too because I of Dunstan, Maguire, Garfield, and Stone, Zendaya and Holland are by far the best chemistry between the two of any duo. And I was sitting there, I was like, just say it. Just please say it for me to have closure. Just say the thing that you need to say. And he doesn't. And he just goes on.
But that's the point of Spider, and that's what sucks is you're so right, is they are so good together in this movie. And it hurts me that we didn't get more with them in like Homecoming, especially that we like kind of like I like the Liz and Vulture stuff, but like it's kind of like
missed opportunity.
It's a missed opportunity a little bit, but the fact that he doesn't say what he needs to say and he does just kind of move away. That's the Spider-Man thing, and the fact that he's able to make this decision too. And there's something I noticed that it's very quick, and I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but when Strange says to him, like, you realize, like, or Peter's like, this would work, right? And he's like, yeah, it would work. And he's like, well, then let's do it. And Strange says, you do know every person who loves you, we won't remember you. And he says we, meaning like, I love you, kid. Like, and that hit me too, where I was like, oh,
he's like, go say goodbyes because you don't got long.
Yeah.
I'm realizing now Doctor Strange was to this movie as Iron Man was to the first Spider-Man.
Absolutely. 100%.
In terms of how long he was in it, in terms of the role he played in it. It's very similar.
I think it also just solidifies Holland's the best Spider-Man. To me, I know it's close. They always have their moments. But if somebody was made to be Spider-Man, it's Holland at this point for me. I think what he brings into it, when he's standing on there and J. Jonah Jameson's talking about it, and the water is flowing and he's just lost everything, and I'm just like, that's the reason Spider-Man's my favorite superhero. And it's not close. He's the most relatable. He has a power that none of us will ever possess, because you could say Batman because Batman's not a superhero, but he goes through real life problems, and his problems are like the biggest thing possible because we can all experience that. You just lost every loved one you had. Like everybody that said I loved you at one point doesn't know who you are.
Well, and it goes back to what Strange says earlier in the movie, where he says the problem isn't like the government or the school or whatever. The problem is with you trying to live these separate lives. And by all accounts, like
he picks one.
Not
the one we thought he'd pick. And I agree that Holland is the best one. I think this does the opposite of like solidifies him as it. I think honestly it gives people arguments to be like, Andrew and Toby's stock just went up a whole lot.
This world Spider-Man. Because technically all three exist. It's just like Garfield. I think Garfield's performance, like, he's having a great 2021, to be honest, with just his emotions and how he's acting. Like he got on screen and just basically was like, can you take care of that cobweb?
Yeah, that was great.
That's great. And then like, I think this is enough. Not really, because Zendaya, that's the problem. Like Zendaya's like humor works so well as the sarcastic person.
Yeah.
What
I loved the suit at the end, the like bright blue with the red, like, and him swinging through all that snow and everything. I thought that ending was like,
I love the little winks at more stuff that could possibly come down the pipe. Like Jamie Foxx goes, oh, I just thought there would be there's got to be a black Spider-Man somewhere. And I'm like, yeah, there is. He's coming. Let's do this.
Essentially an origin story. We were saying before, this is essentially an origin story. And like, I was very worried that like when it started, we were going to get a like nobody remembers and we're back to where we started, but like we're not back to where we started. We are very far from where we started, even though no one remembers what happened.
Have you guys talked about post credits and stuff? You went through the whole thing.
We talked about Venom. We haven't talked about Multiverse of Madness yet.
Which isn't really a credit, it's more of a trailer.
That's a trailer.
Full blown trailer, baby. And
when's that supposed to come out?
Comes out in May.
Okay. That just has that my brain is broke by that.
Looks fucking awesome, in my opinion. Nick's gonna say it looks terrible, and then he's gonna love it. I don't know.
No, I have some issues though, because it looks like they might be relying on What If.
A little bit.
I don't like it.
I don't like that either, because What If is crap. But
I did not watch What If, so
don't, please.
But I think I need to watch
good.
WandaVision or something, because she's like, I did some bad things or something like that.
Kind of, but it almost seems like they're throwing that out the window. Because everyone assumed that Wanda and Doctor Strange were going to fight in the next movie, and I don't know if we're like jumping ship from Spider-Man to the next thing now. If we want to say
we can talk about this, yeah.
Everyone assumed Doctor Strange was coming to confront Wanda for the shit she did in Westview, where she basically like took a whole town hostage. And the first line of them together is him being like, "I'm not here for that. I'm here for something else."
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a wink, like, oh, so people will be like, what is that? You have to see that. But it probably has no weight to what is actually happening. Maybe just shows how much power she has.
That's what it's looking like. And yeah, I guess because like she's a lot more powerful now than she was even at the end of End.
Well, that's something they set up a little bit. Like one of the things they set up in WandaVision is the runes and using magic, using the runes, and Strange used runes in this movie when he was casting the spell. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's what I thought I heard, was that he was using runes to cast the spell.
I think it was something else. I think it was the name of the thing, but
I could be wrong. I agree. Strange's episode is the best episode of What If, but that doesn't
I don't agree with
that it was good. Also, I know what you're saying about. I wouldn't say that I think it is relying on What If, but I would say that it looks like if you've seen What If, it will help. But it's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna be one of those things where like something happened, like spoilers for the Doctor Strange What If episode, but they could easily explain that entire episode in like 3 lines of dialogue. That version of Strange comes in and is like, well, I did this and this and this, and that's how I turned into this person. And you know what I mean? Like,
it's not even just the evil Strange. It looks like they're doing the episode when he walks outside.
I'm sorry. Scully is just on crack cocaine. Hey, Scully, how did Star-Lord get his name? Oh, his mom gave it to him from like, just like giving him a nickname, Star-Lord. Oh, I didn't know that T'Challa got that nickname from nowhere. Oh, okay, whatever. That episode pisses me fucking off. So, anyway.
Outside and the world is like being destroyed the same way it was in What If, like same visuals and everything too. So I was like, are we just doing that episode in live action?
The thing that pisses me off about What If is people log on Letterboxd, but that's besides the point.
I don't think What If is on Letterboxd actually.
Yeah, I don't know, but like I have problems with what the last thing was, but again, I haven't seen the movie, so at this moment, MCU has my full attention. They always have at this point, regardless of a movie I don't really like Shang-Chi, I don't love as much as other people, like Captain Marvel. Things like that have been hit or miss for me at times. But at the end of the day, their overarching story will always get me to the theater. And what they were able to do tonight gets a get out of jail free card for the worst movie possible at this moment, because they were able to do something that Sony has never even thought of. Like, right. you couldn't close the book on your own 2, and they came to close 2 of them and continue the story of the third. The only question I have, and I got multiverse will play into this, it has to, but like, where does Spider-Man go now? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I'm not saying now I understand where it could, because the symbiote suit, and that's the next obvious thing is Venom versus Holland, like Holland versus Parker. Like, that's fantastic. But
I saw that movie. It was delightful.
It was a good one.
but that is a fantastic movie. Yeah, that's my only question, because like that's the thing with Parker is he fights things into his world,
Well,
and
so
he can fight.
I
This one brought everything together. I don't know, because it was in that.
I think they've set it up really well for him to not need to be involved in the Doctor Strange movie, because Doctor Strange doesn't remember that this movie happened.
Right,
well,
that makes sense.
yes and no. So this is where the technicalities we need to figure out. The world has not forgotten Spider-Man. So I think Doctor Strange in his mind knows that he helped Spider-Man do something at the Statue of Liberty. That's where it gets a little messy, because immediately J. Jonah Jameson pops up and is like, well, the Spider-Man destroyed the Statue of Liberty. The world remembers Spider-Man. They don't remember Peter Parker. That's where it gets tricky.
I think you'd have to erase that event from Doctor Strange's mind, because that event hinges on him knowing who Peter Parker is.
And that's fair, that one event. But Strange also, I don't think Peter's gonna have anything to do with Multiverse of Madness. I don't. But I think that Strange remembers that Spider-Man helped them fight Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't remember that it's Peter Parker, like those types of things. So we now live in a world where nobody remembers Peter Parker. Like by all accounts, he doesn't have a social security number. He's just living his life. But the world knows Spider-Man. So if a new villain pops up, Spider-Man can go and fight that new villain, and the world would be watching. You know,
My question is,
sorry, I was just gonna say, because Happy says he knew May through Spider-Man,
and Peter gives him an extra long, like,
right?
That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. My question is, why does the MCU continue to take the great relationships they build over movies and movies and movies, and then just fucking piss them down the drain?
Like which one?
To make Gamora and Star-Lord. This one currently, Pepper just had to leave Iron Man for no reason. Like that was different, but like the two that I can remember now, MJ and Peter and Gamora and Star-Lord, both now the versions still live in the world, but now you have to start dating all over again, because like it's just, I understand, but like it's good to keep getting into, especially when the chemistry is up. It's peak.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It's the exact same thing, because now she comes in. Now in Guardians 3, it's going to be the whole thing of him trying to like get back into her good graces. And
I straight up thought when he walks in and she waves at him and Ned walks in behind him,
I thought Ned and them were dating.
I thought they were about to kiss.
I did too.
Me too.
Okay, good.
I was like,
you're not crazy.
No, I thought, I was like, they're dating. Oh my god, they're dating. This is stupid. And they're like, nope.
I would have been pissed.
Michael, the thing is like in their brains, I don't think Happy remembers.
And May worked with Spider-Man
at
during
Feast.
like the Feast thing before everyone knew who Spider-Man was.
Yeah, so it's not so much that like he doesn't in his brain she never had a nephew. That's the point. No, Scully's with us on that thing, because I definitely thought the same thing too.
Oh yeah. The glider thing at the end too, when Toby catches it and then he gets stabbed at the end. He goes, "I've been stabbed before." It's fine.
It was funny, but I thought it was a little cheap, because I thought we were about to see Toby die.
Yeah,
even before like the stabbing happened, when like Peter's fighting Goblin, I thought he was gonna sacrifice himself the same way James Franco does in Spider-Man 3. Like I thought Dafoe was gonna get the upper hand and like be about to stab Tom Holland, and then Toby jumps in the way.
It is pointless that he got stabbed. Like it means nothing other than to give a shock moment in
to give the moment, as I've said before. I still wish that they were like in the lab together, and the song comes on, the famous song that he dances to. I can't think of the top of my head, and then Toby looks and shakes his head. And no, like there are moments that I wish they would have leaned a little harder into the fan service, because it's there on the screen. You're probably never going to get them again on the screen together. But like, let's wink a little bit harder at stuff. Like I'm okay. I'm all in. Like these are
this will never happen again with the three of them together. It will never happen again. Will we see one of them again?
Don't say that.
I will say that.
I mean, for all we know,
if you would have talked to yourself in a Homecoming and said, "Guess what? There's going to be a movie with all three of them coming up," you just
I never would have.
Picture the next Portals scene in the next Avengers movie. But you've got all the Spider-Men coming through, and you've got Nick Cage's Ghost Rider walking through, and Wesley Snipes comes in with Mahershala Ali next to him, both his Blade.
So now you just want all of the multiverse.
Yeah, why not? Howard the Ducks, both of them.
No, again, this movie gets. I can't.
Eric Bana, Edward Norton, and Mark Ruffalo all come walking through.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Know one of them's the same guy.
I was about to say. Do you think that this movie was always in the cards the way that it worked out, or do you think that it was Spider-Verse that changed it to this?
Spider-Verse gave them the idea, and this movie happened because Sony was gonna take Spider-Man back.
Yeah, because now we're getting 3 more.
Oh yeah, which is great because, like I said, this was basically an origin movie, and we're starting from scratch, which is awesome.
The only thing that I really want, and I know it's a dumb complaint, and I get it. This is the only nitpick I can say about it. I want the Iron Spider suit to be burned and thrown in the garbage. I hate that. Well, I know, but I don't want any of that technology coming back. I want Spider-Man to be Spider. I don't like the Iron.
Yeah. I think it is. I think you're getting
that's what we say, but
because he sewed his own suit at the end.
I also am okay with it because that's the technology that exists in this universe, and Peter is one of the smartest people in the universe, so it makes sense that he would be using that technology.
It just makes it feel so Iron Man-ish. I know he's like the mentor and all that stuff. I don't know. I like my spider in spandex. I don't like it now. I don't need the tech, you know.
Is he one of the smartest?
And again, it's complete nitpick. I'm not saying
it's a weird phrase.
Is he one of the smart?
I like my spider in spandex.
I do. I like the spider in spandex.
He needs to get his GED.
This spider. I don't like any other spiders in spandex. I like my Spider-Man in spandex. I promise you that.
Oh my god. Jesus. So one of the other things that Nick and I talked about that we weren't 100% sure about, but it did turn out to be true. It was Thomas Hayden Church, and it was
I was worried.
Stephans.
I was worried because when he was just the sand person the whole time, I was like, okay, so it's just not him, and they got someone to do like kind of an impression. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the lizard. I was like, okay, they just CGI'd it.
So it sounded like Hayden Church to me the whole time. It did not sound like Rhys Ifans to me.
Rhys Ifans was the one that I was like, when he goes down, it's going to be somebody. They're going to cut away from it. It's not going to be like they're not going to show exactly. But when they showed, I was like, oh wow, you changed your voice dramatically. Like, I couldn't tell. But again,
it might not have been him voicing it the whole time. They just got him to come for that scene.
If I'm being real, the two that I've seen the Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider 2 the least of all of those. Like I've seen Spider-Man 3 more times than I've seen those two combined. So like at times I was like, oh, this is new. Well, this is interesting. I always thought the only one I didn't Thomas Hayden Church I thought was there the entire time, but that was just me. I didn't. What was the one that? No, I guess it's not because Holland says something in a trailer reaction for the movie and goes, "Where's and just like stops talking and like doesn't say anything, and then Zendaya like gives him an elbow and he's like, oh, okay, and then just continue on. And I think it was the other Spider-Man, like they're not shown in the scene like that,
right?
And I think that's the part. But I was like, what is it? But I was like, I count all the villains. There was nobody extra there. But yeah, he's like, where? And she's like, elbows. and they move on.
It was probably that fight at the end with when they.
Oh yeah, it's the kick to the lizard and goes to the side. It's all Spider-Man. Now, while they do the whole like take away from them, I'm like,
yeah, them fighting together was just it was so
it was
perfect.
really one of the smartest you would have gotten accepted into that. That's fair.
Oh, I want to know, Michael, please, in the chat, in your Letterboxd review, you said that something pissed you off so much you almost walked out.
I know
would
you
like
probably
to know-
talked about it in your other spoiler review, but I'm not watching 2 hours and 15 minutes of Jake talk about a tentacle.
Yeah, that's true. I would like to know what that was, and I have a guess. My guess is that you
Breaks the
immediately, well, either that or that they were setting up that Norman was going to be good. Might have.
They may use as the line because I had somebody in my theater groaned.
Toby dying. It was Toby getting stabbed.
You almost walked out with like 10 minutes left in the movie.
Mother, you guys
also. I can't watch it again because I saw Scorpion coming through. I saw Rhino coming through.
Yeah.
I want to see, dude. When the spell like first breaks and he like saves it, there is a very like clear character who like looks at Strange and like
it was and I like made sure to pay attention this time. It was one of the ones that comes through, I think.
Oh, it was? Okay.
I think so. Shit, I don't remember who it was, but I feel like it was one of the ones that come through. I think I saw Craven.
I'm sure like every Spider-Man villain was like
the problem. So I'm confused, and maybe you, Tim, you know a little bit more than me. I'm not sure, but so before this movie played, a trailer played ahead of it. With
Morbius.
Jared.
I was wondering if we were going to talk about this.
So the end scene basically separates Tom Hardy's Venom going back to his world.
Mm-hmm.
Separates, which actually makes the post-credit scene in Venom 2 a little bit better for me because it's not going to come to fruition, thank God. Instead of him licking the fucking screen. God, that thing sucked. But they're connected. But Vulture is there and talks to Morbius at that moment.
There's also a thing with Spider-Man on it that says murderer.
And it's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Actually. Oh, it is?
It is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm like 99% sure about that.
Because here's the thing.
It makes no sense.
Back to Far From Home, do people still think that like Spider-Man killed Mysterio? They just don't. The whole him being revealed as Peter Parker is like didn't happen.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, so that's why it's so easy for J. Jonah Jameson to be like, "See, Menace."
Yeah.
Spence, get your head examined.
But yeah, Morbius. I don't know. Is that an MCU?
I want a Venom that makes fucking sense.
I just sort of want that whole. They should just stop.
Venom is like the Hulk. It has always been like that for me. Everybody loves Venom versus Spider-Man, but the problem is with Spider-Man, I like when Spider-Man fights everybody else besides Venom. Because Venom is the one match for him, yes, but it's also he gives no character development because he's this big giant monster that wrecks shop. Like it's the Hulk. Like I like the Hulk as a side piece. I don't like him as the main.
In the movies, yeah, but
what are you talking about?
Go into if they wanted to, they just don't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but Eddie Brock's a douchebag, and like overall in Spider-Man, and Tom Holland matched up with Tom Hardy thing, and they made him too like cartoonish. Like
I wish they did a little bit to make Tony Revolori's character, like Flash, not as like a caricature, not as much, because I would have been cool if they had done work to make him like a little bit more mature than he used to be, and like grown up a little bit, and like kind of friendly with Peter. I'd have been cool if like because he's Venom for a long time in the comics, and he becomes Agent Venom, at one
Yeah.
point. So that would have been cool if like the symbiote that gets left behind by Tom Hardy attaches
But
to him.
man, if it drops, if it gets on Flash, like that is
At the moment, I would be very upset.
That's worse than Tom Hardy right now.
Right.
Like, pancreas. Oh, God, he's gonna kill me. I hate that movie.
And that's the other thing. Like, wouldn't this Venom symbiote still be Tom Hardy's like voice and character?
You would think.
And why didn't it go back to its universe? Fuck that post-credit scene.
Yeah,
I'm literally just gonna pretend the movie ends like at the end.
Yeah. The only thing I was excited about that I don't have that Tom Hardy there. Like I get the symbiote in that world now. Fine. I hope it doesn't pair for a long time.
Did Tim tell you about the reason why it doesn't make sense?
So Cody, how come all of the villains get pulled into this world? What's the reason?
Because they're from different timelines.
So they're from different multiverses. But
Peter Parker, they know of Peter Parker.
Yes.
So why is Venom there?
Because of Peter Parker, the Tom Holland version of him.
He doesn't know him.
He doesn't know him.
Yeah.
He has no idea who Peter Parker is.
Yeah, you're right.
It makes zero fucking. It makes zero fucking.
I honestly, if you want to, what I think happened was Feige saw the last two Venoms and said that's not going into the MCU. We're dropping the symbiote here and somebody's picking it up. The only way I'm agreeing to this term is we don't use that Venom. And I think that's where it goes. That's the only thing that makes sense. It's basically Feige saying, like your work, fuck it, not happening.
I don't even think it was Feige calling the shots. I think Amy Pascal said, you better fit Venom in somehow. And Feige was like, okay. Post-credit scene where like he's not actually.
They had to agree at some point because that's some.
It's a fine common ground, but I think if Feige gets hit, I think if Feige's the one calling the shots, the post-credit scene and Let There Be Carnage doesn't happen, and he's not in this because it just makes zero. But
because Let There Be Carnage was filmed what around the same time, right? Or I don't know. I'm
pretty close. It's got to be close.
They probably filled that in, and then I don't know how much Feige had like power in that, but like, okay, well, we're ironing that out right now, where he's not going to be in this movie. So,
and the other thing, like throughout the movie, Doctor Strange can like sense when people come through. Like he says something at one point where he's like, "Oh, we have a multiversal like spike downtown or whatever." Like that's how he finds the lizard.
Mm-hmm.
He never thought to be like, "Oh, there's one in Mexico." Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think they have.
Most of them come to New York, but Tom Hardy gets to.
You lack imagination.
Our post-credit scene sucks.
Yeah, it's not good.
Both are not. Both are one. The thing is, I would have rather just a slight, like it would have been better for me if the multiverse of madness was it turned around. Like what's his name? Strange's old friend from Doctor Strange,
Mordo.
Mordo walked up into the room, turns around, and it's the other Strange, and like that ends the scene. I don't need a full trailer for the movie. That's
I was a little bummed.
Like if he walked in and he's like, blah blah, and then he turns around and it's like the dark eyes or whatever of this, and I'm like, and then just leaves you in the mystery, and they can build from there. But now I have like a full trailer of.
I mean, the movie comes out in 5 months. Like
you drop a trailer in a week.
You drop a trailer in 3 months, but you don't have to drop it at the end of a movie.
Well, I mean, I would have
been pumped if it was just Strange walking into a room and Mordo turns around because I've been waiting for Mordo to come back forever.
The first Avengers trailer was at the end of the first Avenger,
which is true. Didn't love that either.
I didn't love it either, but I'm just saying.
Name another. Yeah, you can't.
I can't.
There's some that are
only happened twice, and we both don't like either version of it. So stop it.
I also get it just in the sense that like the Doctor Strange was supposed to come out in March, and they can't really show that trailer without this movie. But the movie did just get pushed like a month ago.
You could have dropped it. It's not like
I agree. It'll drop online in the next 2 weeks
because they could have walked in and she could have had her costume from the comics on and just doing the thing and like the problem is the post-credit scenes, like when they do like a full trailer right now, like that, or like whatever that is, a teaser. I'm just sitting here like you're just wasting the post-credit scenes because these movies don't need like they're so complex now. All these movies, like that's why I only watched one version of the trailer for this movie because they just give so much away. Like there's a movie that the trailer. I just hate trailers in general. I'd be honest with you because they give so much away. Like the ambulance trailer for Michael Bay. I've seen the whole movie. The whole movie was in that 2 minute spot. It was start to finish, end the thing, everything. I was like, well, there's no point in me sitting through 2 hours of Michael Bay shit, and this movie's here. So I don't know, but I don't. Again, the only problem with this movie I have is where they go next. Because I think one, they have a hard thing to break on this one. I think this is the best Spider-Man movie we've ever gotten. In areas because I think there's still moments of like the simple story out there, but so they have to outdo this one, which I think is going to be super tough. And the second one is who does he face and where does he go, and are we really going to earn the entire love back of MJ in that time period? Like I get it, but like I don't know. I think they could have figured out another way to end that movie without messing with. Because the multiverse is open now. Like the fucking floodgates are open. So what he just did nothing.
It's been like that since Loki happened, which is why I hate the TV shows. But whatever.
I think they are gonna pull a Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, and MJ is just gonna show up and be like, "I fucking remember," for no reason, and it makes no sense.
Well, you can see like her eyes or something like she
probably just thinks he's sexy.
Also, the whole event clearly happened because she had the Band-Aid.
That's what I'm saying.
Shut up, Tim.
That's what I said.
You didn't.
Well, my question is, well, I guess he's just Spider-Man in that world. He doesn't go to school or anything at that point. No one knows him. The greatest news is Flash Thompson doesn't know he does exist at all, so he can't call him, any names and things to do.
I did see somebody say, like, making fun of the scene with when they're making fun of Otto's name, because he's literally like, wow, 2 movies ago you were all sad and mopey because someone was calling you Penis Parker, and now you're gonna make fun of Otto Octavius's name. What a dick, Peter. I thought that was pretty funny.
Any chance Gwen Stacy is coming? Probably.
I mean, sure.
I think it's going to be a little weird to do it now because Garfield didn't mention her. So, like, and there's no mention of Stacy, like the police. Like, they would have to do a complete new origin. But they did a complete new origin of MJ, not traditional Mary Jane. So,
I think the multiverse, I had to guess, I would say the multiverse gets solved in Doctor Strange.
I agree.
Whatever this issue going on with the multiverse is, because Eternals was difficult to watch because I was just like,
Loki, I'm glad there was no mention to
there's no multiverse stuff in it, and it's just like, okay, but didn't we sort of establish that the multiverse is breaking? Why do I care about like the space people? So in order to go back to like neighborhood Spider-Man stories, I think you need to solve the multiverse.
No, I agree. I said that in the last video. I think the multiverse is going to be wrapped up, and because I think we're going to see Loki in Doctor Strange, and I think
so much. They have just so much ground to cover at this point. They have no time for multiverse to go. They have Blade. They have Fantastic Four showing up. They have the X-Men coming and something like they've got work to do. Like they can't let this multiverse open for too long.
And like it'll be open because I say that, and then I remember things in Ant-Man 3.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I don't know if it actually.
I just think they jumped the gun with the multiverse thing. The multiverse could have waited. Then and you can.
I think they wanted to do it before DC did.
You can do this movie without like having to be like this could have been our first taste of the multiverse that then happens in 3 phases.
Yeah, absolutely.
But instead, it's like next movie.
Well, I mean, the multiverse. That's how we're going to get Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine. think that's clearly what's going to
I
happen.
hope not.
I mean, either, but I wouldn't put it past, honestly.
I would, only because someone just came out and said that like they sent that universe to like the void.
Cody has not seen Loki, so
Well, like in canon.
Oh yeah, I don't know. All this Hawkeye, I don't watch shit.
Basically, when there's variants in the show, they send them to like the end of time. To like
basically, what's going to end up happening is all these shows. I'm just going to go on a call with Nick and Tuig, and they're just going to be like, "Okay, Cody, this is what happens. This is the most important thing. Move on." I don't have time to watch these 10 episodes. I don't care. I didn't watch Mandalorian, and I know somebody shows up at the end of it. I don't really care. So
Jackman doesn't want to come back. I was very confused.
Listen, everybody says they don't want to come back, but listen, it's
Andrew
hard
Garfield
to say you
didn't
don't
want
want
to come back
when you have a cash dropped off at your door.
Andrew Garfield said he didn't want to come back.
Like, that's just the weirdest thing ever. Like Jackman doesn't want to do it. Do you think that Tom Hanks really want to do Cloud Atlas? After Earth? You know, like anybody who shows up for any amount of money at any point in time, I promise you that. Like, come on. You think of a bad movie, I guarantee there's a reason that person had to do it for some reason.
That just fucking killed me. Did you think Tom Hanks wanted to do Cloud Atlas?
You think that you think Eddie Redmayne wanted to do Jupiter Ascending? No, but there's a lot of cash involved.
Why are you attacking the Wachowskis right now?
Fuck them. Matrix overrated. Sorry,
like the Matrix.
Matrix is overrated, and I don't think the first one's even as good as people think.
Nick, where does this movie rank for you in the MCU?
Right now, like 6 or 7, but maybe 5.
I have it at 6.
Number 1.
That's crazy.
How?
I'm not surprised.
No, I mean, like, I'm glad you loved it. I just like, wow, like it's gonna take a lot of rewatches for me to decide if it
not a chance. Number Guardians, Captain America, Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Endgame, Iron Man, Endgame. Those are my 5, and it clearly moves to number 1. And I said it's unfair. It's unfair to everything, but like the dancing, you know, I mean, the dance off in space with one of the worst villains of probably the MCU is Road of the Accuser, and it's been number 1 with a bullet for the longest time. So
yeah, that's fair.
Because this is 20 years at this point. Like this is 20 years of movies. This isn't like this is the Tom Holland third one. This is Iron Man. This is Spider-Man 4. This is Amazing Spider-Man 3, and this is the third one of that. And they showed that you can do a third one successfully in the Spider-Man universe, which is pretty cool.
With a shit ton of villains.
But I really don't like with the Patreon one. I really don't want them lose the Guardians. Like that's just one of the most. But because they need to really update they really need to update the one for Spider-Man.
Isn't it just like a picture of them over a computer or something? Yeah. All right.
And I haven't seen Eternals yet, so.
Oh, yeah, you should probably do that.
People said it sucks. So I don't know.
I didn't hate it.
You're a defender.
I am a defender.
I'm an Avenger.
Oh, you in a band?
Just that line was so good when he's like, "I don't want to brag, but I'm going to. I was in the Avengers. The Avengers, that's great. Who are the Avengers?"
You want to paint?
Toby works so well in this one. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Toby was Andrew did. They just all did.
The Maggie, when the movie was over, was like, "Toby looks old," and I said, "Toby looked old in Spider-Man 3. What do you like? What do you want from him?" Like.
The only thing I was kind of bummed about is Toby never really got a scene with Dafoe. It kind of made up for it with like the stabbing at the end, but like that's the full circle right there because that's what started it all was them two.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know how you fix that because I like that. Basically, when you bring all the villains through the multiverse, it's like, okay, these 3 are Toby's to deal with. These 2 are Andrew's to deal with, which is why I thought there was going to be a 6th one that would have been like a Ned Leeds or a Mysterio or a Vulture or something. Who winds up being...
That's actually a really good point. I think that would have made the movie even better. But it's a square off between Dafoe besides the stab at the end. Like, if you saw him riding in and spider like Toby.
I like that because it's not just the stab; it's the fact that Toby's defending Norman again from like going through the same fate that wound up killing him in his universe. Literally,
Mhm.
stabbed by the
I did love when the goblin's voice, the laugh happens, and Toby turns, and like Toby's the first one that head jerks to the side, and like, wait, what the? It was just like this. But yeah, because they took Doc Ock out of it, like as the good,
Yeah.
which is fine. I think at the end it's fine. But Toby and him should have had a square off, like before Holland had to jump in. It would have been cool if it ended up like a Thanos, Thor, Iron Man, like them all having
all three of them fighting him at once.
Because-
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. I missed that opportunity. Out of 5 stars, Nick, what would you give it?
probably like 4.5.
Solid 5.
And I said this before you got here, Cody, but I'm okay with that they did with Doc Ock what they did, because after thinking about it, like that completes his arc really well. From I'm just bummed we never got to see all 5 of them fighting at the same time.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But this kind of leaves the door open. They didn't do it. They didn't do the Sinister Six, so like it's still out there. So that's kind of nice. Now, but the Sinister Six without
Goblin, Doc Ock, Electro.
Well, what's to say that we still don't get
it's kind of like
MCU
the Avengers
version of Goblin or something?
It's kind of like the Avengers with like Falcon as Captain America. It's good, but it's like the great value version, just doesn't quite taste the same as,
Well, no, because we've already had the Avengers. We've never
but now when they go to battle, we have the B rates,
But we've never had the Sinister.
The MVP's retired, but we have a bunch of rookies showing up, and one's going to get fucking murdered. Yeah, you can't convince me otherwise that the person with no power whatsoever cannot do anything. He's going to die.
He can fly.
I can
unless someone shoots his wings. Yeah.
Let me tell you, the last person that their only power was a metal machine, a metal suit, and could fly. His name was War Machine, and he was crippled. Like, let me tell you, that's the same path that the new captain's going for.
Well, like,
he has no powers besides his suit. Last time he went crashing to Earth. What?
I guess
he has no powers besides his suit.
He has a better suit.
Batman.
And making it small.
Batman.
Different universe, different rules.
I get what you're saying, but now this is the flying version of Iron Man with a shield. You ain't Captain. You can't wield anything. He just hit the hammer. His arm breaks. He can't do it. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I mean, he wields it pretty well in the finale of that show.
They give him Mjolnir.
No, but
no. I thought you were talking about the shield. My bad.
Oh,
he's not worthy. He's not worthy.
If they're all sitting in the thing, it doesn't even budge off the table for Falcon because he can't, because he has nothing.
Oh my god. All right. I think this is a good stopping point. This movie was awesome. We'll definitely
watch along of it as soon as it's available anywhere.
Actually, I mean, not to like keep it going. Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Is Netflix canon now? Because I don't know if you've been watching Hawkeye, but like I think that was very intentionally timed.
Yes, it was.
And Daredevil is now canon, and they called him.
I knew that was going to happen. There was some talk about it beforehand. Somebody was like, "He'll be his lawyer in this movie." I was like,
I heard that.
Why will he need a lawyer?
I heard that too, and then I kind of forgot about it.
I laughed really hard when he caught the break, and they're like,
"That's awesome!
I'm a really good lawyer."
Yeah. Well,
Happy
yeah, because there's one of two things is possible. They're either making the Netflix shows canon again.
They said something about that,
or they are just new versions of the characters played by the same actors.
But I don't believe Iron Fist is coming over, and I don't believe like Luke Cage.
Well, so the problem is if you, because they did a crossover show in Defenders, you can't take one without taking all.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
So my guess is those shows are not canon, and these actors are just playing these characters in
Said earlier, like I
non-canon
said
versions.
earlier, Feige doesn't want you.
I hate that a lot.
Yeah, I think it's going to line up to be if they are popular enough for this character, because maybe who plays Punisher? I think
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal will probably come back as the Punisher.
Well, that's another one that crosses over as well. Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to create all the characters from that world. Like they're probably just going to say, "Hey, you're going to continue the role, but you're not going to be with the backstory that the show."
Yeah, which is what it is. I mean,
I guess we're getting a Daredevil something. So
I love the Daredevil show, and so even if you take that show and it's not canon, but I get more Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. He's so good as Matt Murdock. I'm game
I was
for it.
hoping Ben Affleck was in this share, but
John Favreau's
In
in
the
that movie.
portal scene,
So
you
you
could
can't.
get Ben
No.
Affleck walking in with Charlie Cox. Just saying.
Electra.
There's two
Oh my
Electras.
god. Oh my. No, thank you. No, I mean we'll see what happens on Hawkeye on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm so pumped.
I'm not, but like whatever.
How's Robin Hood doing? Pretty good.
Well, he has 1 hour to wrap up about 70 million plot threads that haven't been closed at all, so we'll see. But
there's only one episode left.
Yeah.
Oh.
And there's so much to do. I read an article today that was like Hawkeye finale to be the longest episode of a Marvel show at 1 hour, and I was like, oh god, so much time to fill so much stuff. Anyway, but that's gonna do it for us. This has been fun. I like talking about this movie with you guys. We'll be back to do more stuff like this on this channel. So if you just popped by, smash that subscribe button, as they say, so that we can talk about more movies. We're gonna make Cody watch Zack Snyder's Justice League sometime real soon. He's really excited. It's part of his Christmas present. So if you want to see Cody swear a lot while me and Nick go, I kind of like that. That's gonna be that for 4 hours. So it's gonna be magical. So we'll talk to you guys real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.